It is 11:17, and more on that midair collision in Washington, D.C. between the American Airlines plane and the Army Black Hawk helicopter. Here is pilot and KNX Chief News Correspondent Charles Feldman.
Federal investigators are now working on finding out exactly what led to the collision. All 64 people on the plane and the 3 helicopter crew members believed to have been killed. With us now is Timothy Loranger, an L.A. aviation attorney. He's also a private pilot and a Marine vet who spent years as an aircraft mechanic working on fighter jets. Timothy, thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Now, before we begin, Timothy, I want to play for you what President Trump said this morning at a news conference on the collision, talking about the FAA's DEI program and who is eligible to be hired.
The FAA's website states they include hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism all qualify for the position of a controller of airplanes pouring into our country, pouring into a little spot, a little dot on the map, a little runway.
The president went on to say he thinks the program makes things unsafe. Timothy, I don't know about you, but as a pilot, when I've dealt with air traffic controllers, I've found them all to be highly professional. And do you know of anything in any program in the past few years that would have decreased the abilities of air traffic controllers?
I agree with you. Any interactions I've had, and I can tell you I've had quite a few, as a pilot, as an aviation attorney, I've never run into any air traffic controllers who I didn't think met all of the qualifications. And we have it's a tremendously stressful job. It takes a lot of intelligence and quick thinking to do this. And I think it's unfair to think that what has happened is that that air traffic controllers who were out there doing this difficult job are not qualified and doing well.
Okay. Let's talk about the accident last night. And as you know, it's going to take some time probably to really find out what happened, because aircraft accidents are usually a series of things, right, that kind of, when you string them together, lead up to the actual accident. That said, one of the questions that has come up repeatedly since last night is, why was that military helicopter doing training? It was apparently a training exercise, what would appear to be pretty much in the flight path of an incoming airliner in what pilots call Class A airspace, right, which is a very restricted airspace for the safety of airliners.
Well, I can tell you that almost every military flight is a training flight. If it's not actually a mission that they're on, that they are training. So they'll classify every flight as a training flight. And my understanding is that the airspace they were flying through was a corridor. It's a well-known and used piece of airspace that these helicopter pilots use to traverse that flight path and the airspace. Sort of like if you've flown out of LAX or flown in the area of Los Angeles International Airport, there's a couple of corridors that are used by pilots to get past the airport in a safe way. And so my understanding is that's why they were there. They were just traveling through, and this tragedy happened.
Another question that's come up a lot, Timothy, has been airliners are all equipped with what is called TCAS, which gives the pilots information about other aircraft in the area, and also would give them instructions whether to climb or descend and at what speed in the event that it looked as if there was a collision imminent. But the altitude, the relatively low altitude of the incoming American Airlines plane, would probably preclude that from happening, would it not?
It may very well interfere with that kind of system. There's also the ADS-B that aircraft use to try and avoid this sort of mid-air collision situation. It makes them aware of other aircraft in the area. It's possible that the Black Hawk didn't have it on because military aircraft have the option, I believe, to turn it off. These are systems that you would think would be helpful, along with the air traffic controllers they know exactly where the aircraft are, and their communications are helpful in avoiding this. So,
you mentioned in passing this notion of a corridor, which is sort of an invisible highway in the sky, if you will. And yes, there is one that allows people to go over Los Angeles International Airport, for example, at an altitude that would preclude an aircraft from interfering with an incoming or outgoing airliner. That said, if the military helicopter was operating in a similar corridor at Reagan, why would it be at the same altitude as an incoming aircraft?
Yeah, that's a very good question. There is, and has been in my experience, another corridor very similar at the end of the runway at LAX on the ocean side. So that you can fly, that's below the flight path. And so if the pilot is flying within that space and everybody is doing what they're supposed to do and flying at their altitude, say on the approach into the airport, there should be sufficient clearance between the two aircraft. Here, it's unknown what the exact altitude of the Black Hawk was. That all is information that's going to come out. Was it actually within the corridor? Because it is a corridor that's used, my understanding is, very regularly. So where were these aircraft in comparison to each other? Were they within the safe altitudes?
Very good. Timothy Loranger, LA aviation attorney. Timothy, thanks.
Thank you so much.